Hey, hey, I wanna be a rock star.
Good evening. My name is John Nevins, and my teammates Mina Habib and Joshua Sherman of Team 6 will be walking you through the software application Street Corner to Rockstar this evening. The premise of the application is that there are particular venues, such as bars, restaurants, or private parties, that regularly host live music. Finding bands to fill that need is a laborious process. The solution is to bring the two parties together into a single marketplace. From a venue manager's perspective, tailored configuration of the venue, the system to discover bands, generate curated suggestion listings to make it more of a push service than a pull service. From a band management perspective, it gives bands a foot in the door to play in venues they wouldn't normally have the opportunity. So without further ado, we'll dive right in to a full-on demonstration of the technology and capability of Street Corner to Rockstar.
Hello, this is Josh Sherman, and I'm going to talk about the technologies that we used to develop Street Corner to Rockstar web application. At the beginning of the course, the team discussed the desire to create a web application using the latest web technologies, Node.js and Angular 2. We knew that we were going to need a code repository to store our code as we develop, as well as a tool to handle project management. We chose GitHub and ZenHub and set up a final project Penn State repository and integrated ZenHub, which provided a means to track our progress. We needed to set up a local development environment to run and develop our web application. The first thing that needs to be considered is the operating system where we are going to be developing the web application. Node.js is available to be run on Windows, Mac, or Ubuntu, so it's really your choice. I chose to use Windows 10 and use VirtualBox to set up an instance of Ubuntu to use for developing. There were a lot of other things that needed to be configured in the Ubuntu to get the local development environment running. First of all, you need to install Node.js. There are many ways to do this depending upon which operating system you are choosing. I found one of the easiest ways to install Node.js is to use the Node version manager and this curl command, then simply installing it using nvm install node. Next, you need to tell your local environment about your Git and GitHub. To do this, I found this Git cheat sheet to be very useful with the commands to set up your local Git. I find that using the Chrome browser is very helpful when developing web applications, including these console and other analysis tools that come with Chrome. So I installed Chrome and made it my default browser. We also need an editor to edit our code. I chose to use Atom. Another good choice would have been WebStorm. Since we were going to be developing in Angular 2 and JavaScript, I needed to have packages added to Atom to handle those types of code, including Atom TypeScript and Linter. Next is setting up a scaffolding for your project, which is basically the folder structure that is going to be used to develop your code within. There are many examples of scaffolding for Node.js and Angular 2 projects available, and we just chose to follow one of the suggested scaffolding examples to set up our code folder structure. Within our project code, there is a package.json file, and this really is the place that lists all of the technologies that we included. In order to install packages for Node.js, Node.js comes with a Node Package Manager, NPM. That command is used to install packages, and if you use a -- save, it stores those in your package.json file. Within our scaffolding, we needed to download and include the Angular 2 JavaScript library. We installed Express to handle our REST API calls for Node.js for web applications. To store our data, we chose MongoDB, a NoSQL database. We chose MLab, a cloud-hosted MongoDB. To make it easier to work with MongoDB, we installed Mongoose.js, a library for interacting with MongoDB. Since testing is very important to developing a application and we were wanting to do test-driven development and automation for our tests, we installed several packages to handle test automation. First, we installed Mocha for server-side test development, Chai, which is a library that runs on top of Mocha for writing tests. For client-side testing, we are using Karma, as well as Phantom.js. We installed and configured Istanbul to provide code coverage reports for both our server-side and client-side automated tests. Because we wanted our application to be mobile friendly, we chose to use a brand new framework called Google Polymer. Since this was a brand new framework, it was very challenging. We needed to first install Bower. Bower is actually used to install the Polymer element. Next, we found a package that would help integrate our Angular 2 and Polymer and installed and configured this package called Vadin Angular 2 Polymer. Then we proceeded to try different Polymer elements and learn each one so that our application would be styled and look nice on a cell phone display. We decided we wanted to host our application on Heroku, which is a cloud platform. That was an additional learning curve, but it definitely panned out because we were able to integrate it directly in with our GitHub, and it automatically deploys from our master branch, which is really cool. If we push code to master, it automatically deploys to Heroku. The domain name for this is actually configured also in Heroku, as well as environment variables for MLab are configured in Heroku. So from this Heroku dashboard, also integrated an email client called SendGrid, but we have not configured it for its use yet to send emails. You can see how we have connected it to our GitHub and a Dropbox and how it deploys from GitHub master branch. And you can see how many times it has been built since we've been working on the code. And here in the settings page is where you would configure your integration with the database application.
Hello everyone, this is Mina B from Team 6. I'm gonna go over some features. Let's start by take you to login page and then we're gonna create an account together. So click on need an account. Then you enter an email address, mina@gmail.com, and password 1234. Then Mina Habib 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. And account type, I'm gonna go over the first type of the account, which is venue manager. Create an account creation, but we can log in mina@gmail.com, and then 1 2 3 4 log in. Take you to this page. This page has options on the right hand corner. You'll find suggested band, venue settings, find bands, band settings, admin tools, and logout. And also there's the venue list that we have. We don't have any, so let's create some. We're going to create some venues through clicking on this link, venue settings, and then we first venue, so venue 1, and then address 12 California Street, and then city California, state California as well, zip code 90900, and then capacity, this is how much the venue can contain. I'm gonna say 100, and then create. It's gonna be created instantly, and this is venue 1. It's gonna be, the title will be pulled out, and genera is very important because it's gonna go through the system was designed to suggest different bands depend on the type of venues. So we're gonna use a Christian venue. Let's add 2 more. So venue 2, and we add the genera Americana. Create an account for band manager. Need an account. Account type, we're gonna choose this time band manager. Create an account. Account is created, and then log in using the same information we I create account with Mina1 at yahoo.com. 1, 2, 3, 4. Log in and logged in. We go to band settings, and this form will come up for us to create a band. We're gonna band, we call it Mina's band. Zip code 11111. Website is gonna be mina.com. These ones is very important because gonna set the suggestion and the match the system will use to match venues with bands. So these genres is very important. We're gonna choose acoustic. Second genre we use Christian, and then third genre we use blues. And then also the hour rate is very important because based on this is going to be the match, as Josh will show us. I'm going to put $50 per hour. Create the band, and the band is created.
Hello, this is Josh Sherman again, and I am going to demo our feature that allows you to import a list of bands from a CSV file into our database. Okay, what I'm showing you right now is our MLab, our production data store, and the bands that are currently loaded into the database. These are the bands that we currently have in our database. As we developed our tool for bands, I knew that we are going to be needing a bunch of bands to work with for the features, and I knew that the model for our bands was going to continue to evolve. So with this in mind, I decided that having an import of bands feature would be beneficial not only for development, but also as a future way to load in a fresh list of bands to the database for beta testing or as a backup of our data. On the front end of our application, there is an admin tools page. This is where you would import a CSV file of bands. Bear in mind that this form does display on our production app, but it is not working on production, and that is only functions in development mode. Found this package called CSV to JSON. The best way was going to be to convert it from a web resource streamable. So how to get a CSV file and a URL? Well, the easiest way I thought of to do it was to use Dropbox. So Dropbox has a public folder, and in the Dropbox I have a CSV file of our bands. Just from looking at MLab, you can see the data model that we developed here for the band. City, band state, band zip, band genre, band manager's name, websites. This is our ownerships, which allows which user is linked to this band using this foreign ID. This needs to be replicated in the CSV file in order for you to be able to import. All of these fields are replicated. The data for each one is filled in, including the foreign key. So what you're going to do is you're going to run the application from your local development environment. As you can see, I'm in localhost 3000 now with the route to the admin tools here. Come over to your public Dropbox, right click on the CSV file, and you're going to select copy public link, paste the link in here, and you're going to click the submit button. And you will notice if I go back to my production MongoDB, there is one of 6 records, but if I refresh now, you will see there are now 14 records for band. If you go back over to the streetcornerrockstar.com and navigate here to the find bands, you will see a lot more bands are now available.
For venue managers, the band suggestion service is the seemingly most simple, but probably one of the most powerful features of the application. So, say venue guy logs in, and venue guy lands on the suggested bands page. So it seems simple, right? What the system actually does is it sends a request to the band suggestion service on behalf of the user, asking for suggestions for bands that per venue that could be booked. So what this takes is the configuration that came from the previous step, and it first searches the database for bands that meet that criteria. Those criteria are actually pluggable. So in the future, additional criteria with a little more work could be added, so that a venue manager could refine the bands that are suggested for them. You'll notice that a few suggestions come back. So earlier you'll note that my requirements for my garage were acoustic bands, and my requirements for your garage were rock bands. So you'll notice for your garage, the suggestion service suggested Led Zeppelin and Guns N' Roses. So what the system has done is it's gone through and it's looked at my criteria and said, these are the bands that best meet your criteria. We suggest these would be good suggestions for booking, thus saving me time for having to search for bands. The top bands that meet my criteria are automatically displayed every time I visit this page. So you'll remember that I only had one criteria, which was genre. In the case of that the system finds multiple bands that meet that criteria, instead of just returning the top search results every time, because that would be unfair to all the bands, it'll randomize the top selections it picks, so that every band gets a fair shake at the suggestion service. The suggestions include key information about the band, such as the name, the band manager's name, and contact information, so that venue could easily book that band for one of its live music nights.
Hello, this is Josh Sherman again, and I'm going to demo for you our Find Bands feature. The main purpose of this application, Street Corner to Rockstar, is for venue managers to find bands to book for their venue or event. I knew that we needed a way for the user to be able to see all of the bands that were in our application, as well as a way to filter on certain criteria to narrow their finding of bands to meet their criteria of interest. Some of the challenges in implementing this Find Bands feature were the need for the Angular code to support the drop-downs that eliminated already used genre. There are 3 drop-downs here, and if I pick acoustic in this genre, acoustic is not available in the next genres. That was very challenging to implement. It was very challenging implementing a single-page application with a continuous call to our backend service as we changed any of these criterias. For example, this is willing to pay, and our hourly rate is adjusted to show only the bands that are willing to play for $20 an hour. And in addition to that, if we want to filter on top of that for only acoustic bands for $20 an hour, and if we want to go on top of that, only bands that are also rock bands and are acoustic, eliminated it down to this one particular band who is rock and acoustic and will play for $20. What if I make this blues? The other challenge to this feature was the unique syntax used by Mongoose to query the data. The need to provide the data in a mobile-friendly Polymer element, and so finding that in grid and integrating it was very challenging. Let's play a little bit more with this feature. We have willing to pay $5,000 an hour, gives us a lot of bands, but we only want bands that are country. That eliminates bands. The one thing that I wanted to do that ran out of time was try to learn how to style the that in grid Polymer element to allow the table header row to have a background color that is the same as the street corner sign, orange, and to bold the text so that it stood out more in the header row. So what are the next steps for developing Street Corner to Rockstar? There are a lot of interesting ideas and tasks that we have accumulated along the way. These are currently listed in our repository ZenHub tool here under the bug backlog section and future development section, as well as quite a lot of detail is provided in the appendix to our system requirements document for future development ideas. The top ideas in my mind are to fully cover our code with test automation, implement form validation for the creation of new users, implement an email service to validate the email, is a real email prior to creating the new account, enable a way to set accounts as enabled or disabled by the administrative user, and to create roles for the administrator, venue manager, and band manager user types. Thank you for your attention today. We are very excited about this app and its potential as a tool for helping working local bands find gigs and helping people find the right band for their venue or event. You may email any questions or provide feedback to the team at our admin Gmail account, which is SC2RADM@gmail.com. Thank you. Good night.
Hey,